Yeah, because some people I know they might think that if you decide to drop out or take a break from school is because the academics are not going well. They think you're failing,
Yeah,
like and
that's
then
like
you're
the
like,
main assumption.
yeah, that's the main assumption, and that's crazy because what people don't realize is, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, is that most of the time the guys who decide to take a break or to drop out, those are some of the smartest people. My commitment to business outweighed my interest in school. So what ended up happening is ended up spending more time in business and less time in school. There was a time where I would spend probably 2 months without going to lectures. And when I go to school after that 2 months period, some of my friends were like, "Hey, you're still here." University, what you guys don't see someone for a
Yeah.
long time. You guys think, this one was excluded. They went home. It took me 2 years to make that decision. When my mom gave me permission to drop out, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pursue this business thing. I'm gonna, focus on it full time. I'm gonna give it my all, and I'll see school at a later stage because school will always be there. I can always go back to school. I got like, good grades in high school. Even my first, second, third year, my grades were very good.
So sometimes I sit and think and be like, not everyone will be like school smart, right? Not everyone is destined to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be an accountant. Some people are destined to be entrepreneurs. So welcome everyone. Today we're talking about a very important topic because I strongly believe that some people are just here to solve problems. They're just here to be entrepreneurs, right? Which is what an entrepreneur is, someone who identifies the problems, solve it, and all those kind of things. So
Yeah.
today I'm with Brian Mlambo. Very interesting conversation because you probably see there by my name I'm also Mlambo, but yeah, we'll talk about it. So today tune in if you've always thought that maybe you have an idea and you want to start something, you want to start a business. We're going to be talking about the fundamentals on how you can start something from the ground up with no funding, with no supporter, with no investors, with no backing, with no anything. How can you build something for yourself? So I'm just going to kickstart the entire thing. So introduction, just a brief introduction. Less than 30 seconds. Who is Brian?
Okay, thanks for having me. So my name is Brian. I'm a venture builder. I'm an ecosystem builder. I'm a published author, and I run a marketing agency as well. I'm a marketing professional. I've got a sales and marketing background. I've been doing that for the past 6 years, but most of the work I do is centered around helping African entrepreneurs build scalable ventures.
No, that's massive. So that's interesting because I feel like you gave a lot of big words, venture builder, this. Someone who might be watching might not know what's a venture builder,
Yeah.
what's marketing, what's whatever, right? So we're gonna dive deep
Yeah.
into that and explain and kind of like unpack what do you mean by those different terms. But one thing I also wanna say is we're going to dive deep into entrepreneurship, but at the same time, we're like academics are also important. So if you get your academics right, at some point, they'll be able to help you in order to venture into like entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So let's kickstart the thing. Which high school did you go to and where?
So I went to two high schools. So I had to change high schools when I was in grade 11. So for my grade, from grade 8 to 10, I was studying at Abel Mutswane Secondary School. And then for grade 11 to 12, I switched to IR Le Solang, which is in Pretoria.
Oh, that's nice. So you're from Pretoria, and am I right by assuming that it's a township?
Yes, yeah. So originally born in KZN, stayed in KZN for some time, then moved to Pretoria with the family. And yeah, so when moved to Pretoria, grew up in a township, pretty hectic environment. There's a lot that's happening. The stories that we hear, with townships, with gangsterism, drugs, all of those things. We grew up at the center of those things. Some of your friends, were gangsters. Some of your, friends were, drug addicts, or some of them were selling drugs. So it was quite hectic. But yeah, so I grew up in a township. And yeah, I'm grateful for that experience as well, because the exposure alone, it helped shape the person I've become, and had a huge impact as well, when I was growing up.
Yeah, so if I were to ask you, like you mentioned, okay, cool, growing up in a township, it's more of like something that's known, that there's like gangsterism, there's like drugs and stuff like that. So as Brian, now you're in Cape Town and you're running your own businesses and you living like comfortably, if I may ask you. So how do you separate yourself and be like, okay, cool, I'm in this environment that most of the times there's only one route, that you a gangster, that's like the role models you see around and stuff like that. How do you separate yourself not to kind of like be absorbed in that lifestyle?
Yeah. One thing I got to realize is everyone is looking for a better life. A gangster is striving to live a better life. Someone who's selling drugs is striving to, live a better life. Someone who's doing crime, someone who's, looking for a job, someone who's starting a business, someone who's going to school. So everyone is aiming and striving for a better life. What that life is entirely up to you. So you decide the type of life that you want to live. You decide the type of goals that you want to have. And if you're able to build enough courage, resilience, and fixate your mind into achieving that specific goal, it's easier for you to achieve it. So to give an example, I've always wanted to live a better life. Growing up in a township, being raised by a single parent is not something that's easy. And when you're in that space, you're always thinking about ways to change the situation at home. Whether it's ways to find more money, find food, look for better opportunities. I was always looking for better opportunities because I understood that, if I want to change the situation at home, I have to change the type of person I am. I need to become a better person, someone who's well equipped to, bring the change that I'm aiming for. So to move from a township to Cape Town, the transition was a lot, and it took a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of determination. But it all starts with the mind. If you believe that you are destined for greatness, and you work towards that greatness, there's no doubt you'll certainly achieve that greatness.
Yeah, so I get you. So is it a matter of like it's a personal choice that, okay, cool, I see this is like the life that most boys in the townships are going towards, and you make a choice by yourself that I'm not going to follow this route because it's not leading to something that's positive in a way?
Yeah, so it is a choice. You choose what you want to expose yourself to. You choose how you want to spend your time. And I think one thing that helped me a lot, while I was growing up is the people I surrounded myself with. I surrounded myself with people who are positive-minded as well, people who would listen to motivation, all day long, people who would dream big, they'll want to drive, a Lamborghini, they'll want to have a private jet. The conversations we would have would be, very inspiring conversations. You're talking to someone, they're already envisioning themselves having a house in Sandton. So it is quite fascinating to grow up surrounding yourself with those type of people, and it's a simple thing as exposing yourself to the type of life you want to live and trying by all means to make sure that nothing stops you from doing that. To give you an example, when I was still in high school, I think I was still grade 9 or 10. So what my friends would do is we would save our pocket money so that we can, catch a taxi, catch a train so we can go to Sandton on weekends. because we got exposed to networking events. The first time, one of our teachers took us to a networking event in Sandton.
Was this in high school?
Yes, this was in high school. This was grade 9. And after that experience, being in a space where you're surrounded by successful people, and imagine coming from a township, and that time, I think it was the first time going to Sandton. You go to Sandton, you're looking outside the window, you see a Lamborghini passing by, you see people going to the mall, they're wearing expensive clothes, everyone is living, it might be stressful, but a very comfortable life, you can say. You start wanting to have that for yourself. And you start exposing yourself to that. So what we do, we'll save some money, catch a taxi so we can go to Sandton, just so we can be in that space, and the more time we spend with those people, it changes how you think. It influences, your actions as well. So I think it's definitely a matter of a choice that, in high school, I chose to read books about inspiration. I chose to listen to motivational videos. I chose to listen to more success stories. I chose to, expose myself to, different tactics that can help me grow as a person. I remember, one of the first videos I watched that changed my life back then was a video about it was actually a documentary about the law of attraction. So it's called The Secret. And it's quite crazy because there's the original video of The Secret. And you can't find it online now. I don't know why. They probably took it down. The version that you find now is an updated version that has some sections which are excluded, And the first time I watched that video about the law of attraction, and the whole concept, for those who don't know, is the law of attraction states that if you want something in life, you have to attract it. And how you attract it, you can do it via meditation, writing things down and be like, what, I'm a millionaire. You sit down in the couch, you close your eyes, meditate, see yourself as a millionaire, the type of life you live as a millionaire. And those type of things, they influence how you think, they influence how you interact with the world around you. And it was those small decisions that I took that, I want to live a better life, so let me expose myself to those type of things, and that changes how you do things.
Yeah, so let's speak about, you touched on something very important, the power of the environment that you expose yourself to, and also the type of people that you expose yourself to, right? But before we get into that, because I feel like we are more of like an educational platform, we kind of like push people to put their academics first because we believe that education is the key out of poverty, and then after that you can figure everything out, right? So you from the township, and how do you get to Cape Town? Like, how do you get to Cape Town, and what are you doing in Cape Town, and how do you get exposed to UCT as a whole and all those kind of things?
So I've always been a top achiever in high school. Even in primary school, always been top achiever, probably top 3 in the class, most of the time, the first in class. And I've always believed as well that, for me to achieve a certain level of success, for me to get a job, for me to take my family out of poverty, I need to study. I need to get a degree. And this is something that a lot of families tell their kids, when they grow up. They tell you, if you want to be successful in life, you have to go to school. If you want to be successful in life, you have to get a job. And it's this path that has been laid out for you that, you go to primary school, you go to high school, after that go to university, and then after that you're going to get a job, after that you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, and so forth. And I feel like I followed the same narrative to a certain point where I realized that actually, no, this is not for me. I'd like to forge my own path. But high school, I loved studying. I loved accounting, to be more specific. And, with the group of friends I had even back then, we would, compete even, with when it comes to academics, and that would motivate me to even study more. And also, the competitions that we had, in school with other districts as well, would encourage me to even study harder. But the goal I always had was to become an accountant, because when you're in a township and you're studying accounting, the only career is being an accountant, because we're not exposed to a lot of career guidance. So we probably only know one career for each stream. If you're doing commerce, you're going to become an accountant.
Yeah.
If you're doing physics, you're going to become an engineer.
True.
Or, you're going to become a doctor.
Yeah,
and that's it.
But let's speak about that. So you in grade 9, you're probably doing the same subjects as everyone, and then you're going to grade 10, right?
Yeah.
Which subjects do you choose? Because I remember at some point you're doing physical sciences, sciences and whatever. Like, which subjects do you choose? Why do you choose them? And then what happens later on?
I think I've always loved a challenge, and I can be very influential at times to the people around me. So what happened is, we're in grade 9, and now they want us to choose subjects. So I realized that I'm like, you know what? I haven't fully figured out what I want to do. Do I want to become an accountant? Maybe. Do I want to become an engineer? Maybe. But I was like, what can I study that can give me enough flexibility so that when I finish matric, at least I could have more options for me to be able to choose that. Okay, you know what? If I want to become an accountant, I can still pursue that. If I want to become an engineer, I can do that. If I want to become a doctor, I can do that. So I was like, actually, you know what? So I went to some of my friends. I'm like, guys, you know what? I want us to create our own stream. Okay, so let's go to the principal and tell the principal that we want to do accounting, want to do physics, accounting and physics. And then, wait, let me remember, because I think the key majors we had were accounting, physical science, business studies, economics, and pure maths. I think we had life science as well in that. So the principal is like, he doesn't have a problem with that, but we need to find people that can, take up the stream as well, because they can't just add an entire stream for 2 people. It was my friend and I. So I went back to class. I was a motivational speaker back then. They knew me in high school. I used to give speeches during assembly. Yeah. So I was very influential. So I go back to class. I start talking to people. I'm laughing because at a later stage, the stream, it kills them. They start failing. So I go back to class. I influence.
So you convince them to choose that stream.
I convinced them. I'm like, hey, guys, you know what? If you do physics and accounting, it's going to open a lot of doors for you. They jump on board, sharp. Go back to the principal. Like, principal, here's a list. I think we got close to like 20 people. Like, here's a list of 20 learners. They want to do the accounting and science stream. The principal is like, cool, okay. They do a meeting, sharp. And then they agree to it. So come grade 10, when I was in grade 10, so we start with that stream. It was a bit of a commotion, in the school, because, people thought we were getting special treatment, because everyone had to change their timetable so that it aligns with, like, our, with all the subjects that we're studying. So after that, went to high school, grade 10, did the science and accounting. But then when I switched high schools, I went to the new school. They didn't have that stream. So I had to choose whether I want to purely focus on science or purely focus on commerce. So I chose commerce. I was like, okay, because I loved accounting. I loved numbers. So I was like, I'll just continue with accounting. And I continued with accounting up until matric. And then I finished matric. Then I continued with accounting, went to UCT. And so started my first year doing accounting. At first, I applied for actuarial science, and I also applied for financial accounting, CA stream.
So just to take you back, so you applied to UCT. How do you get exposed to UCT? How do you know that there's a university called UCT? And how do you apply? Does someone help you to apply, or do you do it yourself? And how do you go about doing it?
I was doing it, but I did it myself. So it goes back to this thing of exposing yourself. I was exposing myself to a lot of things when I was still like in high school. And, part of that, I would take, my pocket money so I can buy data and do research. I spent a lot of time on the internet, watching a lot of YouTube videos. So every year I would set goals for myself. So one of my goals, was to go to Harvard. I wanted to go to Harvard.
That's massive.
So I was like, I want to go to to one of the best universities in the world, and started with the application process for Harvard. It was either Harvard or I'll go to UCT, number one university in Africa. And then I applied when I was in matric. Actually, no, not matric. When I was in grade 11, end of grade 11, I only applied at 2 universities.
Which are?
So UCT and VETS. Those are local ones. And then for international ones, I applied to a couple because there was this platform that was facilitating all the applications. But the only limitation I had was when I had to write the SAT tests, because those things, you need to pay money for those, and they're just quite expensive. Didn't have the finances for that. So I was like, actually, let me just park this for now. So UCT and VETS were my top options. And then, so VETS responded first. So I registered at VETS. I waited a couple of days, but then they usually give you like a period for you to accept the offer. So I was like, actually, the UCT hasn't said anything. So I accepted the VETS offer. And then, so I think for like 2 weeks, UCT didn't say anything. So I accepted the VETS offer. I registered at VETS. I did everything at VETS, and on the week I was supposed to move to campus, because I also got rest. On the week I was supposed to move to campus, I get an SMS from UCT. They're saying I've been accepted. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
UCT is always the slowest. I don't know why.
Yeah,
probably too much competition there.
Yeah, so I get the notification. They say I've been accepted, and then immediately my mind just says, "We're going to Cape Town." I didn't know how I was going to go to Cape Town. I didn't have money for Cape Town. My mom didn't have money to go to Cape Town. I was like, you know what? I don't know how it's going to happen, but I want to go to UCT. Went back home. I know when I got the text also, I was with my friends, and I went back home. I told my mom, like, you know what? I no longer want to go to VETS. I want to go to UCT. And she was excited, but also a bit scared because I'll be very far from home, and I've never pretty much lived outside of the province, without the family. So it was a bit of a concern, but she was like, okay, cool, let's make it happen. And then after that, we just started getting some cash together so I can book a flight. I remember we had to do some fundraising at my previous high school. I had to get some teachers to contribute some money so I can be able to pay for my flight. I remember even Primesters. So Primesters is the company that was supporting my business. So they've been providing me with the coaching, the mentorship. So I told them, like, guys, I wanted to go to UCT. I got accepted, but I don't have funds for a flight. And, funny enough, they offered to pay for my flight. So they've paid for my flight, came to Cape Town. First time coming to Cape Town, it was an amazing experience. So how everything came about is, it was one of my goals to be at one of the top universities. Even when I was studying, my goal was I'm not just studying for the sake of passing matric. I'm studying because I want to go to Harvard. If I don't go to Harvard, I want to get to UCT.
So it's a mentality.
It's a mentality thing. That's what I was saying, that, if you, setting a goal is not enough. People think that when you take a piece of paper and you write goals for 2024, goal number 1, buy a car. Goal number 2, go to UCT. They think, that's it. That's not enough.
So yeah, that's true because I always say this. So if you want to get to UCT, if you want to get accepted into UCT Vets or any other top institution, whether Harvard or whatever it is, it's simple. You have to change your mentality. I always say this: your beliefs, they drive your thoughts drive
Yeah.
your feelings drive your actions, and your action drive your results. Right. So make sure that you get that mentality right. Make sure that you get your beliefs right, and by doing that, you'll be able to achieve anything you want to achieve in life. So that's interesting because I want us to jump into the entrepreneurship side in high school because you mentioned that Pramstar was like the organization that was funding your or was supporting your business or whatever it is. So let's talk about it. What's Prime Stars and how do you get into entrepreneurship in high school?
Yeah. If you don't expose yourself to the life you want to live, there's a high possibility that you'll never achieve it. So in high school, I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I was fascinated by the whole concept of owning a business, running a business, and, solving problems that people are facing. So when I was in grade 9, so I entered the Step Up to a Startup competition, which was sponsored by and ran by Primesters. So what the competition does is you need to identify a problem in your community and then come up with a solution that you can turn into a business. So this was grade 9. So I've always been entrepreneurial, because I know even before then, I was starting a couple of businesses, had a tutoring company, had a catering company. I would, be selling sweet snacks, stationery then there. I've always been business-minded. So I was fascinated by this program. And I was like, actually, you know what? Let me just give it a shot. Just by the mere fact of deciding to apply for this program, it opened a lot of doors for me. Because I chose to expose myself to, programs like this. So I identified a problem, came up with a solution, sent out the application, and made it to the top 9 out of 15,000 learners.
That's massive.
That applied. So I made it to the top 9, and after that, they sent us to a boot camp in Sandton. So for 4 days, we had to, we received like a lot of business coaching, mentorship, and we had to pitch our business at the end of the 4-day period in front of a panel of judges. And then after that, depending on whether you win or not, then they provide you with the support to grow the business. So during that period, for 4 days straight, my team and I, we didn't sleep. We were drinking energy drinks, practicing, how to pitch your business, how to build a business model canvas, all of these different things. And then come pitch day, pitch our business, and we came, first place out of all the teams. So that opened a lot of doors as well, because the exposure that we had, enabled us to build a business that can scale, enabled us to learn practical business skills, that can, allow us to sustain the business itself. So I think having that exposure helped me a lot, even from a young age, because when I was in high school, after that period, I started, investing in different projects, in different ideas, having different companies as well. I've had multiple companies during that, high school period. Some of them failed, but, some of them, they did succeed. And it's just because of the exposure that I decided to have.
Okay, good. That's massive. So let's speak about it. So you started business, you're in high school. Prime Stars support you. So was that business a success or?
Nah, that business was not a success.
It was a flop.
It was a huge flop. Yeah, it was a huge flop.
Would you consider it like a learning curve? Or?
Yeah, so I mean, I consider it a learning curve, and that's because a lot of people think they're ready to run a business. And the sad reality is sometimes the business idea you have is not the problem. Sometimes you're the problem. Sometimes you're not ready to run a business. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to deal with that sad reality that, you know what, I have a great idea, but I'm not the right person to run it or to build it. So I feel like it was the same thing with that particular business. Just to give some context, so we came up with a solar umbrella. So the idea was to come up with a solar umbrella because we realized that, especially in townships, there are a lot of electricity problems, and this is outside of ESCOM and load shedding. This is people are just deciding to switch off the electricity so they can collect 10 rents in different houses. And these are just problems on their own. So now the idea was to invent an umbrella, take the normal umbrella, but then put solar panels on top. Those were flexible solar panels. And then the umbrella could charge your phone. You could charge a couple of things with it. And it had a battery that stores up power so that late at night you can light up a small lamp so that you can be able to study with it. So it was mainly targeting high school learners so that they can be able to study even when it's dark and use the umbrella that they have to collect electricity. So I had a team, set up for that. These are the guys I entered the competition with. We won the competition. We all got the same business coaching, same mentorship and everything. But the business ultimately failed. And when I looked back and reflected, I was like, you know what? It didn't fail because I didn't have a great team, or I didn't have the right support, I didn't have the right mentorship or the right funding. It failed because I was not ready to run a business then. I still had a lot of learning to do. I still had a lot of growth that I had to go through. So that was a sad reality. As much as, with all the other businesses that I started that failed, some of them, they just failed because, you're just not yet there.
True.
You need to refine your skills or learn something specific.
Yeah, true. And it was more of an experience and a learning curve. So
yeah,
anyone who's watching this and you're in high school, check out Prime Stars Step Up to a Startup competition, right?
Yeah,
get some support. Because I also know one of my business coaches used to teach that by that program.
So and they opening they're launching their program in August this year. So for anyone who's in high school, if you have a business idea, you want to get the support, definitely send through your application.
Prime Stars.
It's Prime Stars. So the program is called Step Up to a Startup for young entrepreneurs. If you just type Primesters SA or Primesters on Instagram, they should pop up.
Definitely. So if you're in high school and you want to be an entrepreneur, make sure that you check out Primesters SA on Instagram or whatever. Also going to tag them if we posting short clips or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So let's speak about, okay, cool. You're in high school, you start this venture. Obviously, it fails because you feel like you're not yet ready to run a venture, whatever it is. It's a learning experience. And you're getting all the support, this teachings and whatever. And obviously, they're helping you to become a better person. But at the same time, one thing that's core, that's taking you out of the township, out of Pretoria, it's education itself, right? You move because you're a top achiever in your school.
Yeah.
And being a top achiever is what took you out of the township, right? And so would you advise someone who's staying in the township and what to say, okay, cool, education is the core. Make sure that education, you use it as a tool to get out of the township, and then after, you'll utilize that to become whatever you want to be.
No, definitely. I would advise that. Here's the thing: when you have a goal, sometimes before you achieve that goal, you need to achieve sub goals. If I can call them that. So you need to achieve certain milestones, for you to achieve that particular goal. And if, let's say, your goal is to, achieve either a certain level of success or live in a certain place, and you see education as something that can help you get there, by all means, do it.
So I just want to say, okay, cool. There are some people out there, right? Some people, they think, we see all these internet gurus, they say school is a waste of time. I shouldn't go to school or whatever. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you know that it's in you, then just leave school because it's a waste of time and whatever it is. So I'm just interested in knowing that as much as we know that these internet gurus are saying that school is a waste of time just because they say, okay, cool, the end goal, you're going to be in a job whereby you're underpaid and then you're overworking yourself as a slave or whatever it is, right? Do you think education as it is helps you in a way to develop yourself as a person?
I think it helps. Yeah, to be quite honest, it does help you with a couple of things.
Yeah.
It helps you learn particular skills as well from a business perspective, whether it's, professionalism, whether it's, how a particular system works. But personally, I believe some of the greatest lessons you'll ever have are through practical things in life. Some of the greatest, lessons you'll have are from, whether starting a business, whether you, getting a job, whether you are building something, learning something in school. Okay, the theory is great, but to some extent, I feel like on your personal capacity, you need to be able to do more than that. Don't just entirely focus on school and think that school will help you, achieve a certain level of success. Because here's a sad reality. The thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, is there's like this path that seems to be laid out for everyone. That, go to high school, get a degree, get a job, get this, get that, okay? So if you want to, let's say, become a doctor, there's no other way of running away from school. You have to go to school. If you want to become an accountant or a chartered accountant, you have to go to school and learn that particular discipline, okay? But if you want to become a graphic designer, for example, or a software developer, you don't necessarily need to go to school for that. The only thing you need are practical skills.
True.
That can help you with that particular role. So being able to identify from your own personal capacity, like what do you want to be, is important.
But don't you think that my team told me not to do this, but so I have a different perspective on that, right? Because where I'm coming from is, like you said, that when you're in high school, you started a venture, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't go well because you're not at the right level to run a business by yourself, right? So I feel like most kids out there, when they hear this advice that school is not worth it, school is a waste of time if you want to be an entrepreneur, they tend to say, okay, cool, F school, I'm just gonna focus on doing my own things, even if I'm getting like bad grades in school. And they don't understand that at some point you must say, okay, cool, I'm in this situation, I'm in this environment, the township or whatever it is, right? And for me to get out, I need a plan. Right.
Yeah.
And school can be part of that plan. Right. As much as I'm focusing on entrepreneurship, let me also put school at the same level so that I'm able to get out of the township. That's why I say education is not the key to success, but you can use it as a tool.
Yeah, so I wanted to say school may not be important, but education will always be important. A school is a system that you go through, but when it comes to education, it doesn't matter how you get the education, but education is important. It's you exposing yourself to things you don't know. It's you learning new things. It's you, learning how to put systems together, how to, build software, how to do something. So I think the most important thing is, how are you educating yourself for you to be able to achieve your goals? So if, for example, you want to become a plumber, okay, and you feel like, actually, when I go to school, in my particular school, there's no subject that teaches us about plumbing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to watch videos or take an online course so I can learn about plumbing and then start plumbing and then probably, find a job or start my own contracting business.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
I feel like the most important thing is, let's not discredit the importance of educating yourself. So even if you feel like, school is wasting your time, okay, remove school. What are you gonna replace that time with?
But can we agree on one thing that, okay, cool, when you're in high school, let's talk about high school. When you're in high school, don't make that excuse of saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, so F school, even if I'm getting bad grades in school, then I'm going to focus on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Let's agree that in high school, if you say you truly want to be an entrepreneurship, let your grades be okay, let them be proper, master your grades, and then go over and beyond. And once you're able to go over and beyond, learn whatever you want to learn, but your grades are okay, that's like a true indicator that you will be a successful entrepreneur. Because in school, they don't teach you difficult things. We agree.
I think, to that extent, especially looking at it from an African perspective, if you're in Africa, the least you can do is finish your matric. You know, even if you want to pursue entrepreneurship, even if you want to, like pursue business full time, the least you can do is finish your matric, and then after your matric, then you can, pursue anything else that you want to do. Even if you want to go to college, you want to go to university, it doesn't matter. But from a high school level, if you think pursuing entrepreneurship full time is a solution, then you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. You haven't fully dealt with the challenges of entrepreneurship, and you might not even be equipped to handle them at that particular time.
True.
So being able to know that, actually, let me finish my matric. After your matric, then you can be able to decide, because as you mentioned, school does open doors for you. It's easy for you to move to another province just because of school. It's easy for you to move to another country, even continent, just because of school. So it is very important for you to make sure that, when you're in high school, focus on your grades, focus on making sure that, when you are presenting yourself, whether you're going to meetings, whether you're sending proposals or you're sending applications, it doesn't matter, that at least you've completed that phase. Then after that, you can do whatever it is that you want to do.
Nah, perfect. So maybe that we wrapped up the thing of like high school and how you can use education as a tool in order to move to a different environment, a different space. Like you're able to use education to move to the Western Cape Town, to be specific. So let's speak about now the power of the environment that you are in and how you can utilize. Let's say someone is moving from Pretoria today and is coming to UCT, Western Cape, and whatever. What's the power of the environment, and how can you best utilize it to build connections, meet new people, and also advance yourself personally and as well like as an entrepreneur?
I think you can fully utilize the power of the environment that you're in if you decide to put yourself out there. One of the things I've realized, and I've had quite a few friends as well, move to Cape Town here, and some of them, as you mentioned, maybe they're moving to like Durban, to like a completely new place, but when they get to that particular location, they probably stay for a few months and then they go back home because they feel like, hey, this place is not for me, or it's not working out for me. Here's what I always suggest is, whenever you get into a new place, find a community or a social network you can be part of. Because if you don't do that, you'll always feel alone, you'll feel isolated, you'll feel like it's hard for you to tap into opportunities, it's hard for you to make things work. It's hard for you to even find a job or even find or find clients in that particular space. So for you to fully maximize the benefits of the environment that you're in, you have to put yourself out there. Go to networking events, meet new people, find out what are people up to, how can you support them, how can you be involved, even if it's from a volunteering perspective. And that's one of the key things that helped me build my brand in Cape Town, and also establish my business. That the first thing I did when I got to Cape Town, I looked for entrepreneurship networking events.
So how do you get these networking events?
Everyone is Google these days. A simple Google search about business networking events in Cape Town. You're gonna see a lot of pop-ups. don't be afraid to spend money on quality things. You know, people, some people, it's easy for them to go to like Pick and Pay liquor, and then you're going to buy, a bottle for 500 rands. You're going to buy.
Yeah.
Someone is able to buy a bottle for $500, but then you don't want to pay 100 rands just to go to a networking event so you can meet people, build relationships. Those are potential clients. Those are potential employers.
Yeah.
Even, I learned something new from my previous event that I had. One of the guys who was there, it was a business networking event. He was like, he doesn't have a business. He does not want to start a business, but he's built a skill set that's in high demand for a lot of founders. So he's technically looking for a job where he can provide the support founders need. But the way he's looking for a job, he's not sitting on LinkedIn or Indeed Jobs applying for jobs. He pays $100. He goes to a networking event. He meets with the CEOs. He meets with the founders of the company. He engages with them like, hey, do you guys need, 1, 2, 3, this? Oh, no, this is what I do. I'm very proficient in X, Y, Z. Can we have a chat? And then the guy's like, okay, let's have a chat. Right there and there, the guy gets a job.
Yo, that's powerful.
Do you see how the difference in mentality, like, for someone who's like, actually, you know what? Oh, there are no opportunities out there, but you're sitting in your bed, you're busy applying, you're sending applications via the phone. Have you went out?
Nah, true.
Do you get what I'm saying? True. So it's the same thing I did. When I came to Cape Town, the first thing I did, I looked for networking events. That's how I got exposed to Startup Grind. I went to a Startup Grind event, and before I even went there, I was still a student. I was doing my first year. Didn't get a lot of funding.
So let's paint that picture. Let's take it from first year, second year, third year, and whatever, and just paint a picture of, okay, cool. You there from first year. How are the academics going, and how do you tap into entrepreneurship? How do you build these relationships, and how do you find yourself running a business, and what business was that? Yeah,
I think when I got to Cape Town as well, first year got here, and then. Obviously, the first few months is just school. You're focusing on school. It's a new place. You're meeting new people. You're building relationships, which is great. But then after that, I started exposing myself, same thing, to environments where I'd like to be. And I heard about the investment society, InvestSoc. So they were doing like events. And these guys, they're easy to spot on campus during a week. They're wearing suits. Black and white. They have their tent, which is red. They there. You can see these guys are serious. They mean business, eh? So I was fascinated by that. I was like, actually, no, I want to join this society. So I joined it, and then started attending the events. So one of the guys who was a speaker at that particular event, he was a chapter director for Startup Grind, Sanders, and then. After he spoke at the event, I went to him. I was like, dude, I love what you're doing at Startup Grind. I'd love to get involved. He's like, hey, you should come to the event. I was like, great. And funny enough, I think a month before that, I wanted to attend a Startup Grind event. But then when I Googled it, we had to buy tickets. And I was like, yo, I don't have $200 to pay for a ticket. So I was like, actually, you know what? I'm gonna save some cash so that I can go to a networking event. And I saved probably 2 months. And then after that, I was like, actually, you know what? Let me just go to a Startup Grind event. I went to a Startup Grind event. When I got there, I loved what they were doing. I loved the people I was meeting. And I told the guys, like, actually, you know what? I'd love to get involved. And he's like, hey, this is pure volunteering. I was like, I don't have a problem. So I started working for free, helping him organize the events, helping him bring people together. And that allowed me to build my own network, allowed me to put my own brand out there, allowed me to establish myself. So there's no way I would say Cape Town is not working for me, because I chose to put myself out there. So same thing applies whenever you go to any place, whether you go to London. The first thing you get when you get there, the first thing you do is look for networking events that you can attend so you can meet people. And there's a high possibility that when you go to networking events, there are people who are coming there for the first time as well. There are people who are new in the city as well. And guess what? You'll end up making friends.
No, that's powerful. So let's speak. You touched on, okay, Sandras, you worked with him a bit and whatever it is. So let's speak about the power of mentorship. How do you kind of like get a mentor? How do you get someone to mentor you?
Let me share with you a trick that can help you get anyone to mentor you. It's a simple question. How can I help you? A lot of people look for mentors the wrong way. They reach out to LinkedIn, they reach out via email, and the topic is always around, hey, I need help, I need mentorship, please help me build my company, please help me do this, please help me do this. And the moment you approach someone with that angle, they most likely are just going to treat you as, someone who just wants to take from them and someone who's not willing to give. And in most cases, they'll shy away from you, especially if they have pressing matters that they need to attend to. And this is the sad reality that for most founders or most entrepreneurs, they're constantly dealing with a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, And if now you want them to take time off their schedule to come mentor you, firstly, they don't know you. They've never heard of you. Why should they care about your business? Because you're trying to create jobs. He's also trying to create jobs, But if you're able to provide value for these individuals at no cost at all, then it's easy for them to build a relationship with you and feel like they can support you. And I'll give you an example. When I started going to, the Startup Grind networking events, this is how I got, even, Sandras and some of the other guys to mentor me, is I provided value for them. I identified what do you need. Oh, you need help with social media. I'll do your social media. I'll do your social media for the next 3 months for free. You don't have to pay me. How I'd love you to pay me is I'd like to have coffee with you every 2 weeks for 1 hour. That's all. For that 1 hour, we're going to sit down. We're talking about my things. I want you to give me advice about my business. I'm going to come give you a problem like this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm facing. Please advise me. But for the next 3 months, I'm going to provide the service for you for free. For some of them, they're struggling with like sales. They want to get clients. They're struggling with that. Like, hey, dude, I'll help you get clients. I'll help you do pitches. I'll help you generate leads. I'll help you do 1, 2, 3. In return, I just need you to mentor me. I need you to help me build this thing. So being able to identify that, these are individuals that have problems as well. And if you're able to provide them with that support, if you're able to provide them with the solution that they need, it's a lot easier for them to, provide you with the mentorship that you need as well. And when it comes to mentorship, you need to approach it in such a way that you're looking at it as building a relationship. For a lot of people, when they're looking for mentors, they already create the hierarchy in mind that, this is a mentor, you're successful and all that. And then I'm a mentee, which means I'm lesser than you. Everything you say is right. I remember I was interviewing Alan Reyes from Reyes Corp. And he said he only mentors people that he can laugh with. So Alan Reyes is a very successful founder. Reyes Corp is actually, the #1 incubator in Africa. He's been running it for 20 years. And he said he only mentors people he can laugh with. If he can't laugh with you, he's not going to mentor you. Because he understands that mentorship is a relationship. If I'm going to spend time with you, I need to enjoy it as much as you're going to learn. And it should not feel like, it's a classroom, engagement now where I come with my slides, I'm going to present to you. I'm teaching you like, hey, this is a business model, do this, do this. It should be, a relationship. And one of the things I've successfully done as well is get people to mentor me without realizing that they're mentoring me. And how I did that is, a simple thing as, having coffee conversations. One of my mentors always said that, you must always have money for coffee. It's easy to reach out to someone and be like, hey, let's meet for coffee. I'd love to know more about what you're doing, or I'd love to share some ideas with you. You meet someone for coffee, you guys are talking, they tell you about their business, they tell you about what they're doing. And again, it goes back to this relationship thing, being able to laugh with them. Because when you're going out with someone, you want to have a good time as well. You guys are chilling there, you're talking, you're laughing, you're asking them about their life, their week, an employee they want to fire, but they're afraid of talking to them. You guys are just laughing, having a conversation around that. And then after that, you ask them questions as well, like, yo, you know what, I have this competition coming up, I don't know what to do. Do you have any ideas on how I can tackle it? I know for the past 2 years as well, I even got to a point where I would get some of my mentors to do my accounting for me. Submit my tax returns, my annual returns, for free. I'm not doing anything. Like they're doing it for me. Some of them, they would help me, with, submitting proposals, for these corporate companies. Whenever I have some of them help me with drafting legal contracts and documents as well. And they never sent me an invoice or quotation or any of those things because of the relationship that we've built. Because they also feel like they invested in what you're building as well now, because you make them feel like they're part of it. And not just that, but they're part of your life as well.
Okay.
So with mentorship, it's very important for you to approach it the right way.
Yeah. So you in first year, how are the academics going? Are they going well? Are they going bad? Entrepreneurship, is it going well? Is it going bad? And then let's paint the picture throughout the years in varsity.
Yeah, because some people, I know, they might think that, if you decide to drop out or take a break from school is because, the academics are not going well. They think you're failing.
That's the main assumption.
Yeah, that's the main assumption. And that's crazy because what people don't realize is, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, is that most of the time, the guys who decide to take a break or to drop out, those are some of the smartest people. It's just that they don't like what they're doing, or they feel like it's wasting their time, which was the case. So in my particular case, when it comes to academics, first year, second year, my academics are great. I was getting distinctions. I was, part of the Golden Key as well. Top 15% in my faculty, and I was studying. I was killing it, but my commitment to business outweighed my interest in school. So what ended up happening is I ended up spending more time in business and less time in school. There was a time where I would spend, probably 2 months without going to lectures, and, when I go to school after that 2 months period, some of my friends were like, hey, you're still here. University, what you guys don't see someone for a long time. You guys think, this one was excluded. They went home,
Like, are lectures not compulsory?
Here. No, lectures are compulsory. I mean, it depends on the program itself, but then, you have to attend lectures, but I think the nice thing with UCT is they provide lecture videos. So I remember in my second year, what would happen is I had 2 part-time jobs. I was part of Housecom at Res, and what I would do is I would attend my lectures, my morning lectures from 8 until 11, and then from 11 I'm going to town, I'm going to the office. So I'll be at work, I'll be working from 12 up until 6, 7 p.m. And then after that, I go back to Res. When I get to Res, I'm watching lecture videos, catching up with school up until 2 or 3 in the morning. And then after that, I wake up, repeat the same cycle. So I would watch lecture videos at a later stage, but then when I started to fully focus on the business more, that's when I started paying less attention to school, and which is why I got to a point where I decided to take a break from school so that I can be able to focus full time on the business, so I can be able to grow it.
Okay, cool. Before we get to the point whereby you take the decision to take a break from school. So academics are going well, right? You mentioned you're part of the Golden Key International Honor Society.
Yeah.
I even posted a video about the Golden Key International Society and how it's the biggest scam in varsity.
Yeah, it is. The thing. I haven't benefited anything from it since I signed up.
I posted a video about that, telling people that they should pay for it, and it
But their
blew
pricing
up.
model,
It blew
it's
up.
good.
I got a lot of reactions. They even hit me up, the Golden Key International Society, one of their representatives, like, I want to speak about the video you posted and whatever. I'm like, nah, send me an email and then I'll read and respond. You don't need to have a meeting about
Yeah,
it.
we don't, like,
Because that's my view, that's my point, that most of the people I know that are part of the society, there's nothing they're benefiting from
Yeah,
it. They just
same
paying for
here.
free. And if
Yeah.
you're saying this is a prestige somehow society, whatever, why do you have to pay for it?
Maybe in other countries or something, but in South Africa, dude, I don't want to lie, that thing is a complete scam. And even with their pricing model, they have a lifetime membership price. Yeah, once off price, lifetime. They know that obviously you're not gonna consistently achieve the same results. So you might not meet the requirement every year for you to renew the membership. But if you pay once, even if you fail the following year or you leave school, it doesn't matter, but they got their funding. So yeah, honestly, personally as well, I haven't benefited anything from that society since I signed up. I know some of my friends as well. I remember we had a conversation about it as well with my friends. Like, dude, we've never benefited anything from that thing.
Most people in the comment sections are also saying the same thing, that it's a scam and people shouldn't pay. So drop a comment and let me know, what do you think? Do you think Golden Key International Society is a scam or not? Just drop a comment and let me know. So speaking about, okay, cool, you're in varsity, your marks are great and whatever, and then you reach a point whereby you make a decision that, okay, cool, I'm taking a break. Is it because you're making more money from business, or you see that there's potential in this business? What happens?
Yeah, so I saw that there's potential in the business, and I was getting busy. I'm getting more clients. Now I need to spend more time in the business itself, and it's taking away time from school. And at the same time, I'm getting frustrated that I can't focus on school because, I'm attending to client stuff. At some point, I would be, I'd be in class, I'm in class, I'm busy getting client calls, clients are calling me, I can't fully focus on school. And I was like, what, there's really potential in this business. I see it growing. And it strongly felt like school was affecting my growth. It was, stopping me from fully, pursuing this business. So I was like, what? I started considering. Obviously, I'm a very calculative person. As much as I like taking risks, at the same time, I take calculated risks. So I do sit down, think about my decision, outweigh the cons and the pros. And I was like, actually, what? If I focus more on the business itself, I can grow the business. The school is not going anywhere. I can always come back to school and finish it. But if I miss this wave for this particular business, things might not be the same. So the business was picking up, it was growing. So that's when I, got to a point where I was like, actually, I might be better off if I focus more on the business itself.
Oh, that's powerful. So how do you make that decision? Like, most of the times there's this, like you said, that there's this set route that is set by people, by society. People are expecting you to go to school, go to varsity, and then get a job. So how do you make the decision that, okay, cool, I want to drop out? And what are your thoughts? Like, okay, cool, back home, what are my parents going to say? What is my family going to say? What are my friends going to say? And all those kind of things.
Yeah, so I don't want to lie, it was a very difficult decision. And even before I made that decision, I consulted with a lot of people, with my mentors, with my friends. But one thing I noticed then was people will always give you advice based on what they think is best. Not necessarily what they think is best for you, but what they think would work best for them. So it was a very difficult move. It took me 2 years to make that decision. I've always been thinking about it. I spent a lot of time thinking about it, praying about it, consulting about it. And everyone I would talk to be like, hey, dude, you know what? You only left with like, one more year for you to finish, you only left with one more year. Just, hang in there, keep going, keep going. But they don't realize, the frustration it comes with, the burden it comes with. I got to a point where, like school was depressing me. I know it sounds crazy, but like, school was depressing me. Like when I think about school, I'll just get a headache. I couldn't even study, I couldn't even eat, I couldn't even do like anything because it just felt like there's just this pressure for me to finish this thing, finish this degree. But is it what I really want? Is it what I want to like pursue? And at some point, I was like, you know what? This thing is not working for me. Like it's not. I would stay up all night. I would, be thinking. And also, I feel like when you get to a point where you realize that this is not what you want to do for the rest of your life, you get to a point where you don't have the patience to see it through. It affects you emotionally, it affects you mentally. And whenever I do my business stuff, the joy and excitement I would get, a simple thing such as like you're trying to study, I couldn't even study for like a full hour, but give me business things to do. I will work until 6 a.m. I'll put in like a full 15-hour, work day. So it was that frustrating. So it got to a point where like I was like, you know what, I can't handle it anymore. As much as, I'm only left with like, one more year for me to finish, but that year is going to be, very difficult for me.
But yeah, let's speak about this thing. Let's just fast track the entire thing. So now, when do you make the decision? Okay, cool. Now it's okay. I'm gonna take a break from school, and I'm gonna come back whenever I want to come back. And how is it after? What's entrepreneurship like? Because I feel like most people are like, okay, cool, I can see this life. Okay, cool, I can drop out now, and I'm gonna live this life driving Lamborghini, driving your Bugatti, and whatever. So how is it after dropping out?
Yeah, so it took me about 2 years to make that decision. It was very difficult. So I, got to a point where school was depressing me and I wanted to take a break. So I consulted with a lot of people. Some of them will tell me to keep going. And deep down, I know that, dude, you tell me to keep going, but, I don't see myself, continuing at this thing. And then this particular night, I sent my mom a message. I was like, this thing it's difficult. I don't think I can do this anymore. I want to focus on my business. And then the following day, she sent me a message. And in that particular message, she was just telling me that if I want to pursue, my business, if I want to do something else and I feel like school is not what I want to do, then she supports me. So when my mom gave me permission to drop out, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to pursue this business thing. I'm going to, focus on it full time. I'm going to give it my all. And I'll see school at a later stage because, school will always be there. I can always go back to school. I got like, good grades in high school. Even my first, second, third year, my grades were very good. Even if I, finish it via UNISA, it doesn't really matter. But when she gave me permission to drop out and she was like, you know what, I'm going to support you regardless. I feel like I got the edification I needed for me to make that decision. Because I feel like one of the biggest things that were holding me back from, taking a break was the fear that I'll be disappointing my mom. As much as everyone else, is a part of my life and, I want to, make them proud. But, the one person I actually wanted to make proud was my mom. And when I felt like, this thing was a lot, it was very difficult for me to make that decision. But when she gave me permission, then I was like, you know what, let's do this.
No, that's powerful. That's a
and
touching story.
and also like the crazy part is, so I made that decision to take a break. I don't want to say drop out, because I mean I took a break because I went back to school.
Yeah.
Because dropping out is not going back. You're done. So I took a break, but then so I started running the business full time. So when I was making the decision to take a break, the business was doing well. We're making a lot of money. Keep in mind, I was still a student. We're probably making close to like 100K per month in the business. And we're like, okay, you know what? I had my business partner, and my business partner moved to Cape Town. Things are going great. Next year we're running the business full time. They moved to a very expensive neighborhood in Royal Ascot. For those who know where I stay, the place. So I moved to Royal Ascot, and then we're excited. First 6 months in, everything was fine. Things were going well, the business is growing, there's a lot of traction. But then after that 6 months period, the things took a turn. The business didn't, do that well. The business, I lost everything, lost deadlines, lost the investors, and then had to start from scratch. So it was very difficult during that period because I had to, pretty much shut myself out of the world. Because I remember I probably spent like, I think close to 2 months, no one knew where I was. I was not talking to anyone. I was not, like going out, seeing people, doing whatever. I was just like, you know what, I need to deal with myself now. I need to spend my own time. And then after that period, then I was like, you know what, actually, I can't be feeling sorry for myself for forever. I need to get myself out of this bubble. Then I started again, started my business. Things were picking up, things were picking up. And then I started building my business. And, today we've grown the business quite well, and we're still continuing to grow. So entrepreneurship is not easy. You face a lot of challenges. It's easy for people to see the results. That, you're doing this, you launched a book, you're working with, MTN, you're working with Old Mutual, Easy Equities, all of these guys. But the backstory, what happens behind the scenes, it's a lot. And especially for, guys like me who live a very private life, that, the only time I only post when there's like a win, or there's like, something good that's happening. So I'm not going to be posting about, the dark times. So like, hey guys, the fridge is empty, like you lose credibility there, but yeah. So running a business full time, it is a lot of work, especially as a young entrepreneur. But with enough, focus, with enough dedication, it does, pay off.
Yeah. So thank you, man. I feel like we've painted a picture of entrepreneurship. So if you're in school, focusing in school when you're in high school, it's very important to use it as a tool in order to go to a new environment. And it also painted a picture on how you can build relationship in universities, and also how you can utilize those relationships to further your business, and also just painted a picture on entrepreneurship. So now I want us to talk about one last thing. So we're closing the show right now. I want us to talk about, if there's someone out there who wants to be an entrepreneur, right? I just want to ask you one question, and then after you give them advice, right? So why do you think most people never get the courage to do it and be like, cool, I want to be an entrepreneur. Let me just take that step and be an entrepreneur full time, or let me just take that step and start that business. Why don't they have that courage? And then lastly, what advice can you give to them? And then we're closing the show. Make sure that you like, you comment. If you have any question, drop a comment, and let's go.
Yeah, so I'd say it's because they don't want to do the hard stuff. They want to do the easy stuff. People think entrepreneurship is this, glamorous thing. You just be driving Lamborghinis, working 1 hour a day, and then you're going to make millions. And that's not the case. One of the quotes that I've lived by, since high school, I don't even know who said this, but he said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. And that's purely entrepreneurship. You constantly choose to do the hard things, and it makes your life easier. So for a lot of people who want to pursue entrepreneurship, they want to start that particular business, it's because they don't want to make the hard decision. And if you sit down and truly inspect, like yourself, you will realize that maybe the hard decision is you leaving that job. Maybe the hard decision is you choosing to take, all your savings and put them into this business. Maybe the hard decision is for you to move into another province. Maybe the hard decision is for you to leave your partner. Maybe the hard decision is for you to, leave your family and, start your own journey. So you need to figure out what's the hard decision that you need to make that's stopping you from pursuing your dreams, from pursuing your goals. And once you've done that, don't complicate the starting process. You need to think big, start small, but more importantly, act now. Don't focus on complicating what you need for you to start. Make the hard decision, and then after that, simplify your actions as much as possible.
That's powerful. So we just closed the show. I feel like just to summarize it, make sure that you make that hard decision. I mean, you'll be proud of yourself dying knowing. I'm not saying you're going to die, but you'll be proud of yourself if you die knowing that you made that hard decision. But dying knowing that you only made easy decision and one in life is not that satisfying, and you're also not growing as a person. So make sure that you click that like button, you comment if you have any question, and just give us any content ideas, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.